welcome to Trish Rock TV, an energy shift, changing energy, shifting perceptions. Our beautiful guest this week is Sharyn Swan, the Dot Connector, helping women to have more peace, prosperity, and play by developing their business and money mindset beliefs. Sharyn has had a journey from working as a consultant in retail shopfronts to taking on branch loss makers into multi-million-dollar turnovers, then to regional leadership roles with global brands, then plunging into the world of self-employment, building from nothing to an international business twice. Sharyn is the recipient of numerous multi-industry national awards in sales, innovation, leadership, team development area, and branch #1 rankings, including Rookie Director of the Year. Sharyn also founded a network for direct sales professionals that went from 1 to 50 location events per month, stretching across each state and territory of Australia from city to rural regions, generating over $3 million in exchanged sales between members. As an alchemist, Sharyn's strengths are ideas, transformation, and championing people. Sharyn can spot the gifts of another and see through the veneer of doubt that they have boxed themselves into. It gets difficult there, dark and isolating, and we'll be talking a little bit about that as well. A flourishing business is about doing a few things really well. Sharyn says to play from your strengths, and this will elevate your courage, which will influence your beliefs, that will determine the next best step of actions you will make. It is my great pleasure and honor to welcome Sharyn. Hello.
Oh, wow. That was quite interesting sitting back and listening to that and you're going, yes. And it feels like that probably 20 odd years just disappeared in a few minutes. So thank you, Trish. It's often, when you're working with so many other people and you're giving, it's really quite interesting just to sit and have that recollection moment and go, yeah, that has been all those things that I've collected along the way, and in turn being able to exchange as experiences with the people I work with and have that real true connection with understanding where they're at as well.
Yeah, we can often forget where we've been. Actually, sometimes we just focus, and I know you work with people on this as well. We focus on maybe what's going wrong, but we don't look at everything we've achieved and how far we've actually come. So
absolutely, I call it the renovated house.
Yeah,
because it's that we think about the house that we take on, the fixer-upper, and we forget when we take the end of sort of, the reveal photos, all of the stages that we started with. And I remember when we did our first house like that, and my husband was like, oh, I don't want to have anyone over to see the before. And I'm going, but they won't really know all that we went through. And so it is, you forget those stages.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Sharyn, I've known you for quite some time, so I know firsthand a little bit about what you do. But just for anybody for people who are listening who may not know you or may not have known all your journey, who maybe are working with you now, where did it all start for you? And was there some event or something that kind of propelled you into you really are a connector. You call the dot connector. You really are a people connector as well. Is there something that kind of propelled you into that?
It is a great question, and funny enough, I only had this sort of realization not that long ago, and I call my business the Dot Connector, and I realized that I was connecting dots since I was, a young person. And as a bit of a funny story was that my first job was, at 14 and 9 months, your part-time Thursday night, Saturday morning job was at Suzanne's, the fashion store. And way back then, the jingle was, this goes with this, right? And it was, I was in my element because I was putting things together, and so, it's that bringing together what you can see as resources for that individual. And I didn't understand that was part of my DNA, because you know, back then, what did you really know as a 14-year-old was just, you know, well, that's who I do and that's what I am, and I think it's easy and it's simple. And so that's been exchanged for different things along my life. I was then in the travel industry, and so arranging holidays for people and exchanging their experiences that they wanted, that I heard them talk about, and finding a match for them in, you know, whether it was a cruise or a great place, a resort to stay that would match their needs. So again, it's connecting dots there too. And, you know, as I realised when I went into the regional leadership, which I so resisted, because I just love working with my clients and thought, I didn't want that responsibility of other people and so on. But, you know, we had a great dialogue between the team, and they made it easy for me to step into that role. They supported me unconditionally. And we became such a famous team within that organisation. And I think I realised how, you know, you can harness people towards a mutual cause, and if everyone's felt heard and seen, and you know, identified that the clarity of what you're all working towards.
Yes, yeah. It's interesting, isn't it, when you say you just did that naturally and thought everyone could do it. That is when you know that that's a gift. And sometimes it takes many years to kind of realize, oh, no, not everybody can do that. It is a gift that
completely. And the clients that I work with, this is constantly the story, Trisha, you know, from your expertise as well, is that they don't see this little thing. Oh, really? That thing? I said, yeah, it's financially viable. If you find it simple to deliver it, it is valuable to someone else. I said, I certainly could not do what you could do. And they sort of look at me and I go, yeah, I might come across as capable, but I've got my zone that I know is my capable zone. And the rest of it I need to outsource, or I would find that completely, you know, overwhelming.
And, you know, this is one of the things that you were also teaching your circles and your groups of women. And that's spread so fast around Australia, and, you know, the groups were really empowering. And I think the thing that I loved about it was that you were bringing all the people who were in different companies coming together, but with a common cause of actually bettering their life and helping other people with what they were offering. And, you know, you have the ability, and you had the ability in those groups to show people what their gifts were, and and what they could do really well and what they couldn't, and, as you say, outsource it. Exactly. You know, don't put your energy into something that's a struggle. Put it into what you can really do. And, you know, you absolutely grew so many people's confidences and businesses doing that. Yeah,
that was an experience, and because it was an industry that faced more so of an attitude of competition, it was a story that we started telling, you know, late 2000s, of collaboration over competition. And, you know, now that seems to be a bit of a common thread, but it wasn't back then. And it was certainly an industry that even to now still has a struggle with that. We had businesses that wouldn't send their people because they were concerned about being poached, and, you know, all these sorts of layers and layers and layers of fear and mistrust. And all we wanted to do was we wanted people to, you know, come out of isolation and feel heard, feel that they had people who spoke the same language about the journey that they were taking of their new experience with self-employment, because often they were doing it on the side of something else, maybe trying to transition that out. And their organisation may not have had anyone else in their town. And so we were giving them a place to hang out. And we also had the most amazing hosts who stepped up and put their hand up and said, I'd love to bring this to my community. So you were helping mentor them so that they could then in turn mentor people in their community, and the ripple effect from there.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of the work that you're doing now, you were also doing, kind of weaving it in back then as well.
Exactly. I was having that on the side, and then when Savage Circles Network just exploded and took off with the volume, you know, I didn't have quite as much available time for my one-to-one work. And I had the Savvy Academy, which was group workshops, giving them some business fundamentals, really, because a lot of these people came to fall in love with products and organisations, but really didn't have confidence with some business skill sets. So we're trying to sort of marry them up alongside of what else we were working with when the companies do such a great job on product knowledge. And so when I retired, you know, thought we'd sort of reached a point where that was the case. I was now had the availability and the freedom to work with some more clients one-to-one.
Yeah, and when in working with those clients and helping them build their business financially. Where do you see one of the biggest blocks to money and cash flow? Where do you feel that comes from?
Well, that's a great question. And I actually started to spot this when I had some time in the direct sales industry myself and built a rather large organisation. And then I moved into the network. And the consistent thing across companies was that here was an industry that had unlimited earning potential. And you had people who were at this elite level, still are, and you had people who were sort of just at a hobby level and quite happy to exchange, buying products, at a lower investment price. But we had a whole lot of people in between that sort of weren't either or. And I thought, well, what's the difference? And I sort of had, time prevailed. I had that question, but you weren't ready to receive the answer. And the answer came when I found the work of a lady in the US, and she was teaching about money mindset beliefs. And I went, oh my gosh, it really is this connection. So to come back and answer your question is I put it down to the inner conflict that we have about receiving.
Oh, perfect. Yes. That we don't know we have mostly.
We don't. We may have a slight, oh, yeah, I know why. And then you go, and then you go, and then you go, and then you go down, down, down. And it's just layered. It is a cliche, but that's exactly how it presents itself. I was just heading off to sleep last night, and then I had this trigger realization. This thing has been in my face for about 3 years now.
Yeah.
And I had not ever realized one of these things. And it was like, oh my gosh, I've got to do some more work on myself around that one. Big time. So yes, the art of receiving. And then I love talking about this because there's so many things you can understand about it. Now, I grew up in a generation, and many of your viewers will relate to some of the phrasings and expressions we heard within families and gatherings around, you've got to work hard, money doesn't grow on trees, rob Peter to pay Paul, all of those phrasing that we have understood. And I work with these 40 and 50-year-old women now who are still reviewing when they think of their money relationship, they go back to that childhood environment in which they captured all those statements. And then alongside that, with the art of receiving, is if they heard these references, say they've got siblings and, oh, hang on, your sister or brother is smarter than you. Oh, it's okay, you don't have to do as well because you're not going to go to university or whatever it might be. You're just going to get a such and such job, whatever that might have been. The other impact on this was career advisors in high school.
Interesting.
I cannot tell you how many people present to me and said, I really wanted to do da-da-da-da, but the careers advisor told me that I was useless, I would not have an aptitude for that, so I'd best downscale and take my capabilities towards where I can best suited and go here. And I believe them, and I took this track along here.
Oh, gosh. And, they were probably just saying from their own experience.
I totally understand them. It's not a slight on, it's just those two worlds collide, and it all comes down to the art of receiving. I've received this information in, and so therefore I've put my glass ceiling here. And it's also the art of receiving what I have a belief in. And if there is also a point of view around the art of it's better to give than to receive, I have a very big misunderstanding of that for my entire life. And until it sort of really gelled with me is that, no, it's not that one is greater than the other. It's that in order for you to, when you do receive, it's ensuring that you are generous with your time and prosperity in order for that circle to keep going, because you can't give out of an empty cupboard. You can't give out of an empty vessel. So they both need to have that yin and yang, understanding together.
Absolutely. And the TV shows that were around 50 years ago and even now still have the affluent people as the baddies. So, back where we were growing, there's Gilligans Island, right, where, shows like Alice, but even now there are still shows that people watch that are, like the people who have money get it by being criminals, or they're not very nice people, and you're better off just being the nice person with nothing. And they still have subliminal messages. So hopefully that's going to change in years to come. But our ability to receive is really influenced, isn't it, by so many things we don't realise.
It will, when people are willing to do that exploration and they can start immediately, it is extraordinary. And the one that you sort of said about, sort of money's the root of all evil type of phrasing. And it's really interesting because, I think if you are being a rat bag in the world, you're probably going to be a rat bag with or without money,
Yeah, and that's the thing, whether you're a nice person, you'll still be a nice person with money or without. If you're a bad person, money's not going to make you a good person. You'll just be a bad person with money.
Right. It's what you utilize the resource around, and it's money's a resource, like time is a resource, your energy is a resource. It's the same exchange of things. You're just exchanging it one thing another. And we all require the currency because we have to exchange it to phones and cars and food and rent and everything else.
Absolutely. So, Sharyn, I know that you help people to find their prime sacred money archetype, and we've got the link here and in the comments for people to take that test. But just tell us, by understanding more about what a person's archetype is around money, how will that help their business?
Great. So Sacred Money Archetypes, we used to love those quizzes in the magazines to work out, what we were. And there's plenty of personality quizzes. What I took to about this was directly around how I'm having an existing relationship, what my best relationship is with money when I am being more authentic. How is that looking like? So I brought there's 8 archetypes, and have various features about them, and there's not one that's better than the other, which is often what people say. It's when you're operating in your prime your prime archetype as a in your empowered state rather than your disempowered state. So these are these beautiful cards. You can see those.
Beautiful.
I know, right? And so there is one of those for each of the 8. And so that's the Alchemist. And this is the Nurturer, which I feel like probably, Trish, you have got quite a few Nurturers who are your very best viewers. and
Alchemists, actually.
Right, exactly. So, Nurturers, for example, have such a generous spirit and a heart, and they're often having, involved in healing work. It's just a matter of finding that really beautiful boundary between overgiving and overgenerosity and saving everyone else and at the expense of you. So if you still want to do that, you can, but it's not it's an either or situation. And, as an alchemist, which is all about ideas, and again, if I then as with my strength, as you mentioned in the intro, it's all about having that transformation, that daring, championing people. So how that then works is once you understand your gifts and strength, which comes way back to my philosophy I've always had, is play from your strengths, so that the decisions you make in your everyday life and your business come back being aligned to these gifts and strengths. When you make decisions which aren't in line to that, it just seems like cash flow's a struggle. You're making costly sort of investments which you aren't entirely happy with, and this is how they work beautifully.
Yeah. It's interesting, isn't it? And do you find that people have real aha moments when they find out what their type is, and they go, oh, it all makes sense now?
Well, 2 things around that. First of all, they go, oh, do you know what I am by looking at me? And I go, I don't go there because I don't want to prejudge. I've got to have that reveal as well. And so then I sort of see that where it sits in the top 3, and the top 3 work really well together. There'll be a lead and the 2 sort of shadow ones that play this support role. And often when we're working, more in depth with them one-to-one, people sort of say, okay, they might be really at that time of their life where they're leaning heavily into one, and they might actually need to sort of go towards and bring in some of the features of the other one for that project they're working on or for that challenge that they're experiencing. And they go, oh, you've already got it within you. You just got to wake it up a little bit and shake it up and get it into action. So that's how we often find them. And again, with the quiz, it's free to take. It's really exciting to find out your age. And when I sit there and there's a little session you can have, which is just a reading with me, so I can give you the whole story. People just sit there with these mouths dropped and they're going, say, what? Oh my gosh, I'm the only person on the planet that you must be talking to. And I sit there and I forget how simple these tools are and how powerful they are in those moments. And you go, oh, wow, that feels amazing to be part of, to witness.
Yeah, incredible, isn't it? I love those moments with people. And you know, a lot of people who are listening would have been like yourself and me, really trying to push through certain things in life and not understanding why it's you had the push, but finding out what your archetype is and what the energy behind all of that is, it just really allows more flow. And with more flow comes more ease with money, more receiving. It all just has a knock-on effect. It really does. And then the more awareness, obviously, of why you're not receiving, and then work that out. And yeah, have you really seen some fast changes in people as soon as they find out what their type is?
There's twofolds. Definitely there's that power of the impact, just of having first of all, when they do their quiz, they go, oh, okay, right. And then when they have a reading, they choose to take in a reading. When they start to see these beautiful cards out in front of them, okay, so it sort of happens that it's now not me with my issues. I'm actually understanding this profile. Right, and I can pull stuff from the profile and start to see it as an identity that I'm actually, because often people think, oh, I'm the only one on the planet that's got this problem. Everyone else is doing it perfectly right, and I'm the one doing it wrong. I don't right and wrong, but you know. And all of a sudden, when you have this external thing, and then they can embrace it and they can understand it, that's huge. And that is instant. And then they see some features on here that they just gravitate towards. Even when you work with these beautiful cards, I don't know if you can see here, but it has these wonderful little contracts that each archetype has. And with a contract, it says it's a Sacred Money contract, and it gives the person when they read it and they go, yes, this actually does verify this is me. They feel the instant response to it. And so the part about the contract, which I find fascinating, is that it's actually structured that one part you'll have instant agreement with, and the other part will be the part that you go, oh, that's my challenge.
Interesting. Well, you've got to have that.
So a nurturer here, it says the contract is to care for others by empowering oneself.
Okay.
The nurturers will probably go, yes, I'm all on board for the first part, but I've got to empower myself? Oh, hang on a minute. Whoa. And that's actually the opportunity.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. So with your Money Mindset Breakthrough program, you help people obviously with their archetypes, but you also help them explore their relationship with money. So tell us a little bit more about that, and what would someone expect in that program, and who's it for?
Perfect. The program, so with Sacred Money Archetypes, once you found out your personalities, and you could just have a little reading, and you might be thinking, you know what, I'm happy, I've got that, and off you try. Because you can actually DIY for some of this really great content that's on these profile cards, which you get with a little Crack Your Money mindset session. But after that, what people do is they come back and say, okay, I'm aware of that, I've had time to process, who I am. But how do I actually go back to some of these layers? I'm now understanding I've probably got, but I don't know what they are. Great. The Sacred Money Archetypes has 10 transformational activities. And I have people who sign up for all 10 to go take themselves through the 10. And they are things like empowering your money voice, understanding what your money boundaries are, cracking through glass ceilings of where maybe cash flow is, and so on. And I have others who just say, I just want a couple. And so through the Money Mindset program, is the entire 10. But I have clients who come and say, right, I just want to do an initial 2. Oh, see how that feels, because it's new work, Trish, and I want to feel a place where I can support them and hold that space of safety and security for this is okay to have this conversation. We do this work very one-to-one. And so by all means, and then they can control their finances around what that feels like for them to invest into exploration work. The other part I want to say with this is that when I was doing my case studies to get my qualifications as a certified Sacred Money Archetype coach, I had a number of test friends, and this is now 4 years on for them, and they are the ones who always are saying, oh my gosh, when we do that activity and how this has now shown up. And I have one client I worked with on SMA work probably 18 months ago, and she tells so many friends if she had not done that content, she's concerned whether or not she would have had to go into personal bankruptcy.
Wow. Okay. So it really is life-changing work to find this out.
Every person I've now seen, and I said 2, 3, 4 years on, still has had that sensation of how important that work was in now where they're leading their life.
Yeah, and I like that you allow people to introduce themselves to it slowly, because fears do come up around money and old stuff. So fears do come up and block people. So pushing them through, no, not pushing, easing them through with some grace.
And often, with these exercises, let's say talking about business, and if you are self-employed and, you're leading a business, no matter what sort of, figures that there's coming in, is that all of your archetypes, where your archetypes are going to determine the pricing, your offers, the packages, the ideal clients that you're attracting in, who are you going, to target. All of those, there's just layer after layer, how you collect money, the website, the people you invest in, the outsourcing, so many decisions you're making every single day around your money relationships and the beliefs you have around your value and what you're exchanging in order for that, your talent and gifts to the world. So again, I can't encourage you enough to at least determine and find out what your archetypes are, at least your prime 3, so you understand, I am best when so I have a client who, when she did this, she's a leading romantic. And to me, perfectly suited, because Trish is in real estate sales.
Wow, interesting. So she's kind of matching up a relationship with people in their homes.
Right. And so she finds it so easy to, take people through it in open houses. And I said, lean into that and be the best part about storytelling and setting the scene. I said, because it's just enough. It's so simple for her to do that. She doesn't even think it's a thing, right?
Not everybody can do that, that's for sure.
Right. And she's got these beautiful welcoming candles and baskets of baked goods when people come for open houses. And I just think it's beautiful. And she's having fun. And when you're having fun, as you know, Trish, you vibrate differently and new opportunities come.
You do. And I like how you mentioned so many different parts of the business. People's resistance shows up in all sorts of areas.
Absolutely.
They might in one area say, yep, you know what, I'm ready to be seen. But then on their website, it doesn't reflect that. Or in another area, collecting money, it doesn't reflect that. So
exactly.
Really,
and that's where
everywhere.
And that's where my coaching, whether it's groups or one-to-one, is, people come to me, they're predominantly either asking for business development, because it's just like pulling those ideas and getting a bit of a map together and strategy, or they're saying money. But they just gel so beautifully together, because when you're working at business development, I'll pick out some of the things that might be money related and bolt that onto, or either or, so you can say, hey, as a romantic, this should be some of the things that's in your copy and your text. And even on these beautiful cards, it gives you all these great words that are some of your empowering words that I've got clients now making sure that they're being incorporated into their socials and so on.
Yeah, and the other thing I found with using the words from your archetype is you attract the like-minded people to you with those words. So you're actually attracting your ideal clients. So from a receiving money point of view, if you can learn to receive the money, you're actually got the people there who want to work with you. So
that is it. And, we are here and on this planet not just to get by, but to experience a rich and abundantly, various experiences. And I think, it's really quite intriguing if we watch the world go from, so much consumer consumerism into a consumptive experience. You know, we were saying instead of buying stuff, we're buying people, you know, moments together, and we're buying time together, and we're buying, you know, those memory making moments. So, you know, this is all part of that.
It is. Yeah, it's beautiful. So, okay, so people can get in contact with you. So you help with business development, attracting, retaining, and expanding clientele, money mindset beliefs, and of course you do one-to-one sessions and group workshops. But the immediate thing people can do is follow the link here to the archetype test. So, yeah, so it's
yeah, and by all means, you know, find my Facebook page or Instagram. They're the two places I love to hang out the most. Okay. And, you know, send a message. Once you've done your quiz and if you find, oh, my gosh, I'm a such and such. I always love finding out people's response to learning that information. And, yeah, joining the conversations on those places that you can find me there. And if it's something you'd like to find out a bit more, I have those next step options on my website, but, you know, zip a message to me and I can answer those questions.
Beautiful. Well, I've got all the links here. If you're watching, I've got all the links here in the comments to connect with Sharyn and to take the test. Do that first. And then after you've taken the test, come back into this comment thread and let us know. Let us know what you are and what you have about
Absolutely.
it.
And we have one other little thing to do, don't we, Trish?
We do. Yeah. Let's get on to that. So you are giving away something pretty exciting to someone who is viewing.
Absolutely. So what we thought we'd do is you crack your money code. It's a mini discovery session where you've taken your quiz and actually do a reading with you to sort of understand how your prime archetypes work. And it's a fun exploration. It's just a little entree onto it. So we have one of those to give away. But what we would like you to do is on the comments that are here on Trish's post is to tag in a friend. Okay, and so you tag in a friend and you can put more than one friend, but just remember to put one friend per line. Yeah. And what we're going to do is we're going to do a random draw probably on Tuesday, I'd say, tomorrow, yeah. And then what we'll do is draw out that one line, and you and the friend you've tagged in will each receive one of those gifts.
Oh, exciting. You're giving away 2. That's very generous. What an exciting competition. Get tagged.
It's lovely to have that experience and share with a girlfriend. Oh, my gosh, were you a such and such? Oh, I am too. And, you know, it leads me on when I was doing my case studies and stuff, I had my son and his girlfriend take the quiz. And I gave them all insight. It was amazing what they started to understand. You know, one comes from a money mindset of security and the other one comes from a bit of more risk taking.
Okay.
So rejecting each other's frustrations, they started to understand one speaks Spanish and one speaks French when it comes to some of these things. Wow. So it's a really great early lesson in their relationship to understand it's actually he's not rejecting me or he's not rejecting me. It's actually we have a different attitude around it needs to be satisfied first.
Wow, that's a breakthrough. That would be a breakthrough in lots of relationships.
I think the next part I want to work on is, with sales teams and how they're actually working with leaders and some of their teams and understanding that sort of. I think that's really valuable as well.
Absolutely, because everyone speaks different languages when it comes to beliefs. Yeah, oh, that's amazing. Well, get tagging, guys. Tag your friends in here, and as many as you can to get them to come in and tag as well. And
someone's going to be the winner. We would look forward to announcing that on Tuesday.
Yes, absolutely. And we'll announce it here in the comments.
Absolutely.
On Tuesday. All right, we'll do an update. Perfect. All right, that's exciting. Well, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your company with us for a little while and your beautiful energy. And I love what you do. I always have. It's just an incredible talent that you have of bringing people together, but now you're actually bringing the parts of people together so that they can have a more fulfilling life, business,
It is, and I'm all about, when I look at, the first question you probably even asked me, and I think about the extended, is that I feel I'm just conduit receiving that, support. That's what I'm here to help others do. But it's, if I reach the women and help them connect to their own leadership, then it's the lives they influence in their home and in their next friends and family and so on, that, we can start shifting some of those things that are shackling us and holding in a place that we don't wish to be.
Absolutely. It's time for freedom. It's time for freedom and more living, less struggle.
Beautiful.
Yeah. Oh, well, thank you. So if you're listening, please reach out to Sharyn, tag a friend so that you can be in the draw to win that amazing prize that Sharyn's giving you. All the links are here. Definitely click on the link. It's really easy. It's bit.ly/What's My SMA. Click on that link and find out what archetype you are. Let us know. Come back to the comments and let us know. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Sharyn.
Thank you, beautiful Trish, for asking me on, and to your beautiful audience. We want to thank you, Trish, for how you harness these conversations and put about those conversations and that connection as well. You have such a passion for it, and you've been, again, the longevity of wanting to do that. And you have a beautiful evening as well.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. We've had a few spirits here. I don't know if you saw them as we were talking. They all joined in on the conversation, which was lovely. All right. Well, thank you. And thank you, everybody, for watching this episode of Trish Rock TV. We will see you again next week for another episode. Bye. Bye.